Welcome to Campfire Wisdom. Grab a seat around the fire and tell us your story.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Campfire Wisdom. So last week we had the opportunity to kind of listen in on a conversation I had with my mom while I was visiting Tucson. And this week we are going to do the very same thing, but we're going to be sitting down talking with my dad, or I guess I should say you will be listening to me sitting down talking with my dad. So here it is. Hope you enjoy. Obviously with these questions, whatever comes to mind, nothing crazy, but I just want to have it for all time, but at the same time I'm going to post it on my podcast. Cool. So do you know, to your knowledge, what was the story of how you chose my name?
It seems to me that after naming our first son Kristen or Kristen, after our minister's 92-year-old dad, whom I revered as a wise man, I wanted to be simple, and we both kind of wanted to be more all-American with our choice of a single-syllable name. And we both settled on Greg. Our last name is Stutzy. We always have to spell it anyhow. And so Greg was, direct and very American, and a difference from Kristen.
Yeah.
Or the Danish Kristen.
And Kristen was named after Kristen Heidi, right?
He's named after Kristen P. Heidi. Kristen Peter Heidi. Yeah.
Okay.
And I have a picture of my dad when he is 77 or 78 with Heidi when he was 91. And he was still going strong in his greenhouse. Yeah.
I remember that picture.
Yeah.
And then my middle name, Alan, is from...
I guess we settled for a two-syllable name. Alan was a gentleman who we met at our church, whom we really enjoyed him. And Alan Anderson.
Oh, okay.
A-L-A-N. And it was four letters, it was two syllables, but it was a brief name, Greg Allen. And he later became the president of Carthage College in just south of Racine, Wisconsin.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Cool.
And he put me onto the fact that he had met the Tweetmeyer sisters that I knew when I was 9 years old, anywhere from 5 to 11 years old. 5 to 9, they lived as neighbors, and then I used to visit them on the North Shore. Yeah. Faith Tweetmeyer, I still remember, I ate my first grilled cheese sandwich there. Petite French mother with short haircut. She was a pastor's wife. I was over to the parsonage a bunch of times. And yeah.
That's cool.
And the oldest sister was Teresa, Tessie. The next sister was Constanza, Connie. The third sister was Jean with the light brown hair. And then platinum blonde Faith was the...
They had 5 girls?
4 girls.
4 girls.
Yeah. I don't know what the mother's name was, but she was a slender, petite French lady. Could have been a cousin of Edith Piaf, only she was more slender.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. How about what's your happiest memory of raising me?
It's kind of hard to say a single happiest memory. I think if I had to say something of all my kids, you were the most patient to hang around and listen to me. You were the most willing to learn and know how to use your hands and do stuff and converse. And you were the most patient with me when I was on the verge of losing patience, and you had a calming influence on me to slow down and share what I was wanting to do for and with you or whatever it happened to be. And I felt comfortable in relating to you as a child, you know, because you were, you know, unusually patient and as a child, and could listen well for longer periods of time, because I don't spit out anything real quick, you know.
True.
I never have.
True.
Probably never will.
Unless you lose your cool and we're trying to fix something. God damn it.
Yeah, there you go.
It's like, do it like this. I'm like, I am doing it like this, Dad. I was the one that could handle that.
Yeah, the other kids just didn't want to be bothered. They wanted to play, and then you were willing to play with me. You know, I'd work on a project, and you wanted to be part of it. You know?
True. And I think sometimes if we were working on something, my skin was a little thicker, because like if we were working on something and Brian was being impatient or whatever, like it would be like, no guys, you got to do it like this. So Brian would get frustrated and leave, but I would be like, Dad, we are doing it like this.
Yeah.
And I'd go, wait, let me see. Oh, okay, you are. All right.
You'd hang around and
Yeah.
get my. You'd seem to get my perspective of wanting to share what I was doing, but getting a little bit impatient with myself for all the resistance and questions that came along from all the others who were looking for a way to cut out.
In some ways, yeah. It's true. I never thought of it like that. It's true. But I think a lot of times, like in those moments, obviously, I enjoyed that too. Learning stuff like how to fix things, how to repair things, maintain things. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, for the other kids to sit down to paint their D&D lead figures, it wouldn't have happened if you weren't so far into it that the others came along and did it, you know.
True.
Meaning the others, meaning Brian.
Yeah.
I mean, because he did it, but he was not doing it as painstakingly as you were, or as carefully. But he slowed down with you to do that, and that was good in my eyes.
Yeah. Ike even did it too.
Yeah.
And I think Ross got into it recently.
Yeah.
In the last 10 years or so, he was dabbling with it too.
I've been at his house not too much here lately, but I was over there, and I saw when we were doing some bed moving of getting that in for Philip to get comfortable in that bedroom. That he is doing little things with, he's making little things with his carpentry and stuff, and cactus pieces, and you know, so
yeah.
He's getting back into artsy craftsy stuff, you know.
What's something you've never told me but always wanted to say?
I keep on kidding you about being the mailman's son, but it's the furthest thing from my mind. I claim you very much as my son, as the one who listens and is on my wavelength, you know.
That's so funny because that's exactly what Mom and I had talked about. We joked around about that too.
Yeah. I didn't know she was. I don't know where that came from, you know. Except you were totally blonde compared to the redhead, and then all. Yeah. I don't know.
I think that was a joke. Chris latched onto it, but it never had any weight with me. It didn't bother me.
Good. It shouldn't have it. And when I say to you, I say it just to crank you up a little bit.
Totally. And it's funny because I was telling Mom this yesterday, or the other day. I thought of the mailman, and I thought of Ivan. I was like, wait, I'm not Ivan's kid. I couldn't be Ivan. Because that's the mailman, right? The way.
I think it was Ivan, yeah.
Yeah, Ivan, the guy, the piano player, remember?
Ivan, piano player.
He played the piano at Pharaoh's. Ivan the mailman.
I don't know.
You remember Ivan the mailman?
No.
He was an older guy. He was our mailman. He would, on our birthdays, he would put pieces of paper in the mailbox, like a little card. It says, Ivan the mailman wishes you happy birthday. I have no fucking clue how he knew it was our birthday.
He played the piano at
Pharaoh's, the restaurant.
Where was Pharaoh's at?
I don't remember where it was at. Hey, Mom, remember?
Peterson kids, to see if they remember Pharaoh's.
Where was Pharaoh's?
It was a pizza place. It was on Broadway.
And it was called Pharaoh's, right? Yeah.
Oh, but he was the mailman here.
Yeah, but he played the piano there.
Oh, I'm thinking of Racine. Who did we know a place of Pharaoh's in Racine?
No.
I'm going all the way back to when there were just two kids.
No, here.
Okay.
As I said, he delivered the mail here.
Well, no, you had to be. If you were going to be of the mailman, you had to be of the mailman in Racine.
Oh, that's true. But I'm saying the mailman that I knew when I was conscious of that, I didn't think about, it had to be the mailman where I was born.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? I was thinking the mailman here.
Oh no, I was thinking the biological father was not the mailman. It was me, and if it were other than, it would have to be happening in Racine. That's why I'm still thinking about where's Pharaoh's. And
I see where you went with that, but me as a kid, I didn't have the concept of time. You know what I mean? That I would have had to have been conceived in Racine, all that stuff. Yeah. But I always wonder, how did he get our birthdays?
How what?
How did Ivan get our birthdays? Because he knew Zickerman's birthdays.
If I may say, I think he asked me once, and then I gave it to him.
Oh, okay, the kids' birthdays.
And that was not the privacy seeking of a normal German American person, and you can't really protect it anymore. It's all out there.
Exactly. So this is more personal, but what's the hardest lesson life ever taught you, personally?
It's teaching me right now. It's a hell of a thing to get older, and on the one hand, I'm humility. I guess is the thing that's teaching me that I have to be accepting of my age, grateful for that I am living as long as I have been able to, and enjoying it to the max, and not caving into my own frailties, and not letting the politics and status of the world dilemma with warming and etc., all the problems of the world, weigh heavily on my continued healthy existence.
Yeah.
I have to worry about getting my dauber down. I have being with family like it has been in the last few days is emotionally taxing in terms of it's emotionally uplifting in terms of joy of being the family together, but it is taxing in terms of the stimulus and sense and attention you have to pay to detail and the new things you're picking up about family.
Yeah.
Even your own kids that you didn't realize before, and certainly things I didn't know about Philip.
Yeah.
And
that can be exhausting.
Yeah.
So it's more like the physical taxing.
Yeah. I have had a blessed life. I have been relatively healthy. I broke my leg high near the hip when I was 80 years old, which is usually a death knell for somebody. It wasn't for me, and I'm grateful, and I'm pushing 87 now. And I'd like to go on, and I hope I can go as long as I can with you and the family. But it right now is the hardest time of my life, because I can't do with you or travel anymore like I used to, or drive long distances without feeling stiff. And I don't know how I'm going to go to Europe for the celebration of the marriage between Philip and his wife, and I dearly want to.
Yeah.
But I don't know how I can sit that long, worry about not having to go to the bathroom too many times, worry about being upset, having had, altitude sickness. What do I know about what's going to come down the pike? And I don't want to be partway somewhere and create a effing problem for my family.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
So
I guess until then
Until then, I just want to stay as healthy
as possible,
and cross that bridge when I get to it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Well, I think the hard part is the bathroom. We could resolve. We could sit right by in the back. Well, you would be able to sit in the front row. At your age, like they board senior citizens and they give them priority seating, you'd be able to sit front.
Yeah, and there's middle bathrooms too.
There's what?
There's middle bathrooms midships too, in the aircraft.
I haven't seen middle bathrooms. I just seen
on your
the
sides in the middle area. Yeah.
Oh, maybe on the large.
After first class, there's a space, and then you go toward the end. Yeah.
Oh, you're right, because international flights can have first class.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, that's true. Forgot about that. You will have a couple. I always think that's awkward walking past the first class people.
That wasn't to me. When we were planning on going to Russia for the river cruise, we really both of us looked forward to that. I wanted to cruise the Volga and see St. Petersburg, and that was before all this craziness with what do they call it?
Ukraine,
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
And when you look at a 23andMe, there's a part of Russia in me too, you know.
Yeah, a lot of Russian in us. It's true.
So, but anyhow, I just we were going to pop for going business class, not first class, but business class, which would get us in the fringes of that.
Yeah.
But it's the only way I'd want to travel. If I, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know if the funds would be there for that.
Well, shit. Maybe that's how you solve it. Fly first, pop for it, just because you're going to be comfortable.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be probably double the price, but if that's what it takes to get you there, fuck it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good idea. That's what you got to do.
Yeah, it's a reclining chair. You can get your feet
then
up,
you can sleep.
Get your heart. You
sleep. Then you can just fucking sleep.
Yeah.
That's what you need. There you go. Cool. That's a great solution.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I didn't think of it. But.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Cool. Problem solved. See, look at, we're solving problems here.
Yeah.
So so what you're dealing with right now, it's
probably the most difficult in my lifetime. I have been, I think, singularly or 7 times blessed by my immediate family here around me.
Did you witness like your dad's aging process? Were you around for that?
I had one event where he asked me to come finish cutting the grass for him, something he'd never done before, and that was just weeks before his demise. And or within a month, certainly, of his demise. And I went down, and I saw that I saw he had pushed his hand, chrome-plated Craftsman ball-bearing lawnmower, which is easy to push, but he couldn't do it anymore. It was getting him, and he was getting dizzy, and I didn't know that. So I took out my new gas-powered Toro out of the back of my Volkswagen, and I put it on there, and I zipped through that grass like nothing, you know, and raked it up and everything. And I was getting ready to go home, and I put it in, and I folded it up, and I slid it in, and I said, Dad hadn't seen the car, the Volkswagen Squareback that we had, that tomato red color, and the Toro was red color too, and I slid it in, and I said, look how easy it goes in, you know, and when you need it again, I'll come down and I'll do it for you. And so he bent over to look down, and he passed out.
Oh shit!
And his teeth started chattering, and his plates were. And I reached in his mouth, and I tried to pull him out, and some of his clamps got caught on his lip, and his lip was bleeding a little bit.
Jesus.
And and so then we got him, and then he calmed him down and got him inside the house, and settled down, and I didn't know what the hell to do, because I'd never seen that before. And he had passed out right in front of me.
Yeah. Did he lose consciousness?
He momentarily lost consciousness and, didn't know what happened. Kind of like what may have happened to me under stress. And he just had leaned forward and had a blockage. This is the time they didn't realize in time, and they didn't have the ability to give him a rotor-rooter on his left carotid.
But did you call the paramedics or anything? Or doctor?
No, because he came out of it right away, and he was protesting, and he was standing up, and we got him, and we went inside the house, and I called Eric Johnson, my buddy Eric, and Eric came over, and I talked to him, and I said, I don't know what to do. I go home to my wife, my family, I got to work, I got to do stuff, but and Eric was not working. He was at home. They had enough money. They always seemed to have enough money.
He lived close to your dad?
He lived, right across the alley.
Okay.
On Western Avenue.
Okay, gotcha.
And I said, well, could you look into my dad? So anyhow, he said, yeah, sure, I'll be glad to do that. And he did, and I called Dad every day and so on and so forth. And then Bridget and I talked about it, your mom and I. And we just, at that time, we had, our son was there, our oldest son. You weren't born yet.
Yep.
And so I said, honey, I got to bring Dad up here. I want to be sure he's okay. And so then we got him up there, and
You got him up where?
Up to our new house in Racine.
Okay.
The blue house where
so after that event, you had him stay with you?
I drove back down and I brought him up there, and I wanted him to spend time with me.
Yeah.
And he brought his German gin and some beer, and and we had meals. Mom cooked meals, and we went down to the basement and we had little schnapps and beer. And
so this is to make sure that he was okay.
Yeah, he seemed to settle down, and I wanted him to see Dr. Mueller or something, who took over for Dr. Zorndorfer. I said, you got to go see the doctor and get a complete checkup and this and that and so on. And I don't know that he ever did, but he stayed up there for 2 weeks.
Okay.
With us, or a week and a half or two. And finally he said, I want to go home. I want to go for walks in Wells Park. I want to watch the ball games. I've got my routine at home, I've got,
Did he ever see the doctor while he was up there with you guys?
No, because he went back, and I don't know what he did, but he watched his ball games, and I called him every day the week after I dropped him off that weekend. I called him Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday Rosauer called me and said that he had found the door to the garage, to the basement was open, and he was lying on the floor and he was dead.
Yeah.
And he had his hands folded. He had gotten dizzy, laid down, folded his hands to relax and get rid of it, but it never went away.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that within a month, he was, within a week, 2 weeks,
was he the guy?
I came home. Actually, I think I came home that weekend and said, "Can I bring Dad up to? I'm worried about him."
Yeah.
And I probably, in hindsight, I would have brought him to my doctor up in Racine or something. I should have done that.
Sorry, that was a mosquito.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
Anyhow, that's how quickly he was gone within a month. The last picture I have of him is of him holding Chris alongside or in the back of my house against the blue house.
Yeah.
In a folding wooden chair.
And that was during the 2-week period that he came to stay with you guys.
Yeah, a week or 10 days.
Yeah.
He didn't. I don't think he lasted 2 weeks up with us. He felt he was being a burden,
was your dad stubborn? Like, did you want him to stay with you guys permanently?
I didn't want him to stay with us permanently. I wanted to make sure that
he went to a doctor or something.
Yeah. And I missed that boat, because I had to go to work every day.
Yeah.
And then by the end of that week or the beginning of the very next week, I would have had to stay home to take him to the doctor, and I should have done that in retrospect. And as a matter of fact, talking about it now makes me think that was because
do you feel guilty about it?
I didn't think. I mean, in thinking about it, I expected him to go to the doctor, and he'd have to go by the streetcar or have Eric drive him, and that was insane on my part to think that. But I was so jammed up with what I think I had to do in my schedule. I mean, I was happy to come down and mow the lawn for him because it was such an unusual request.
Yeah.
But I didn't see the
immediacy
of it, except that he passed out.
Yeah.
And I had never passed out before.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that. I had a lot to drink one time and drove home and drove everybody to their home, and then don't remember the last 20 minutes of my drive home before I tipped the edge of our rented garage at that time while our other garage was being built.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think that's interesting. Yeah, I guess obviously you can't make somebody do something they don't want to.
Well, he couldn't drive.
I know, but do you think your dad would have gone to the doctor?
We probably would have fought. Ich bin gut. Alles ist gut. Let me just leave me alone. Let me do my stuff. How long am I supposed to live? I'm 78. And he was still in good shape. He had good skin tone, and he had good appetite.
Yeah.
But he didn't have good circulation.
Yeah.
And the simple thing that I was later able to do, I mean, I went and had a wedding that I photographed that Saturday, and that Monday I went in for surgery.
Yeah.
And they said you were 97% blocked in your left carotid.
Jeez. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Technology went that far. Okay, when I was 70, that was 1940, and 70 was 2010 was 2008, I guess, when I was 70 years old. Yeah. 2008 was when I was 70 years old and had that surgery. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had just retired from work.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah, because I think obviously aging is a process, right? And the process of aging itself is something that's modeled to you, right? It's not, we don't learn how to do it because no one really tells us how to do it. We can only really get examples of how to do it from our parents, you know?
Well, my dad had achieved an age older than any of his parents.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not saying he was ready to go. He was not that fatalistic.
Yeah.
He was just going on and how he felt.
Yeah.
And he probably felt pretty good, except a few episodes that he didn't choose to share with us. You know, he must have had those kind of episodes before to stop mowing.
Yeah.
Because I saw different levels of grass more than one time he tried to mow it and couldn't finish it.
Yeah, and maybe, who knows, maybe he passed out trying to mow his own grass and didn't tell you that.
He didn't tell me that, no.
Yeah, it's true.
Secrets we keep.
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe he was suspecting something was on its way and didn't want it to happen when I was in his house.
Yeah.
Or he was in my house.
Yeah. Or who knows, maybe you never got a chance to talk to him.
Oh, I talked to him a lot.
No, I know, but he could have had an appointment the next day.
No,
right?
I didn't pursue that.
No, but he was going to do something. I don't know. Who knows?
God forbid. I really feel guilty.
No, I'm not saying...
No, I know.
Yeah. No, I mean that maybe just fate intertwined and that he already had something underway, you know. But...
Or it was God's plan for him. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, what's one piece of advice you would wish you had taken when you were younger?
Advice I should have taken. I don't think anybody was really telling me what to do too much. I think I adjusted to my life. I won't say that I planned a lot of my life, but while I was single, I asked Dad for opinion. I didn't get too many opinions. When my mom was alive, she didn't want me to go into the Army until I absolutely had to, for her own reasons. I don't know that I was very good at taking other people's advice or asking them questions about what I should do until I got married. And I asked Bridget a lot of times when things were upon me as to what would fit for her, and she always had clear-cut answers. She was ready to move to South Dakota, you know, in the middle of nowhere, you know, at a heartbeat, the drop of a hat. I think I got, what's the best piece of advice I got?
It's one piece of advice you wish you had taken.
Okay.
So that someone said to do.
No, I never had anybody give me pronouncements about what to do, except when I ask. And when I ask, I appreciated the suggestion, and I took it at that, and we made the decision together.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was to go back to school again for my second master's at University of Wisconsin, which you didn't even, my first master's, which you didn't realize that I have a Badger hat earned.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know that. Shit.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And my second master's was here, so I can wear a U of A hat too.
Yeah. And then your undergrad is Northwestern?
Northern Illinois
Northern
University.
Illinois, that's
in
right.
DeKalb, Illinois, the home of
And
barbed wire.
Mom went to Iowa, right? Hawkeye?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
In Ames, Iowa.
Okay, that's cool. Damn.
And DeKalb was the home of barbed wire.
Iowa City,
I'm sorry?
not Ames.
Iowa City, I'm sorry.
Iowa City.
Ames
That's
is yeah.
Ames is like ASU here.
Oh, roger that. Okay, gotcha. That's good to know.
Yeah, I'm sorry. See, I don't know everything by a long shot. If I'm in doubt, I ask Mama.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, how about what's one thing you hope I never forget about you?
that when I raise my voice, I'm not angry at anybody. I'm frustrated and just want to be sure I'm being heard. And that's still not the right answer for me to cope with whatever's bothering me. But I hope you continue to be patient and listening. Your mother is a very good listener. And some of your siblings are not good listeners. They talk more than they listen. And I have this crazy idea that I don't have to speak like a tape recorder that always utters the same words or choice of words. I like to describe things differently. Get a little long-winded that way.
I'm the same way. My wife always says, "Yes or no."
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah. Cut to the chase. Yeah.
Cut to the chase.
Yeah, and when I was in the car business, there were some people, "Can we own your business? Can we own your business?" I got so tired of hearing that from the other booths around. It's like, how do people buy from them, and how do they buy a second car from them and hear the same tape coming out of it?
I know.
It was a pride that I had that I didn't learn the language initially as a native born from a native born. I learned it in school painstakingly, or in and around the German I continued to hear at home. And I'm grateful for the German language capabilities that I have. Mm-hmm. But at that time, it was a burden for me during wartime.
Yeah, I get it.
And, but I worked my way out of that too. Just trying to create a divide. My dad never beat on me. I shouldn't say never. The one time he did, he was very upset with himself. But, and we won't go into that story. The point is, my dad showed his being upset with raising his voice. And my mom and dad didn't argue forcefully or throw things at each other that I ever saw. But they were vocal to each other.
Gotcha.
And when he raised his voice to a certain level, then she ceased and desisted, and when she did, he ceased and desisted, and that's what I was modeled. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then I've tried to cease and desist too.
Do you feel like you yelled too much?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm overloaded with. I don't want to deal with it anymore, and I think, please stop.
Yeah.
And then I get louder.
But that probably goes back into the most difficult part of your life is aging, right? So it's like keeping up.
It's more recent, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I used to get loud before. I showed my displeasure or my impatience by getting louder. Mm-hmm. In other words, it was a way of signal saying, "Leave me alone. I need to be the only child right now. I need to go somewhere and be by myself and calm down."
Yeah, totally.
And that's kind of how it was. I love every one of you kids immensely. Each one of you are totally different. Each one of you responds differently to me, but there's no difference in how I love you. Okay. Yeah. And are there some things that are more comfortable about one compared to the other? Yes. But in the final analysis, if I had to do a Benjamin Franklin on the both of them, on all of you, you'd all balance out. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the way you're modeling is the way that I deal with it too. Like I catch myself yell. I don't yell, but I will raise my voice, and my wife doesn't like it at all if I raise. So she's like, "You raising your voice?" I'm like, "I'm not," and I guess I am. But sometimes I'm the same way. I have to just kind of get away, cool down, reset, and then I can usually deal better with whatever situation I'm trying to deal with.
But that still doesn't harbor too well for Mom, who has listened to it in the first place and who has listened to it for 50 plus years, and I'm not proud of that.
Oh, you aspire to.
If I could wish something for you, it is that you learn to control that before you're really old.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I wouldn't consider myself a yeller, but I have made a lot of stride in dealing with situations calmly as opposed to just
you were doing angry. That as a kid. Like I pointed out to you, that's the thing that amazed me about you.
Yeah, but my wife knows how to push my buttons, so sometimes I lose my cool, and that usually shows itself off as me having a tantrum and like leaving, or like just leaving the moment. Like I got to get away from the conversation, from her.
Separation.
Exactly. A break.
We're not gonna work this out
exactly
until we both calm down.
Exactly. And then sometimes if it's inopportune, if the kids are around, I definitely leave the situation, just because I don't want the kids to see that, and I don't want them to see me like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not always perfect at that too, right? There's been times where I had to apologize to my kids about I didn't handle something appropriately, And I do that because I think part of the thing that Geese and I talk about is that it's inevitable that we're going to fight in front of our kids, right? We're going to try to avoid that, but it will happen. So if it does happen, I want the kids to see us make amends,
Yeah, that's the modeling that's got to go along with that to balance
exactly.
it.
Yeah. So we always get to that point. Sometimes sooner than later. Sometimes I'm the asshole. Sometimes she's the asshole. But I would say overall that we're getting better at not being assholes.
There you go. That's moving.
I know
in the
it
right
sounds
direction.
funny, but yeah. I mean, that's one thing I realize a lot is you can't. So I heard it explained to me once, and I liked it. It's like on her worst day, I need to try to be my best, right? Mm-hmm. To help her balance out. On my worst day, I hope she's at her best so she can make up for my shortcomings. So, but there will be days when we're both not at our best.
Yeah.
And that's when we got to try to make sure that we don't kill each other.
Yeah.
Quote, figuratively, you know what I mean?
I know.
We don't crush each other's souls,
Yeah.
But marriage is tough, man.
It is.
It ain't easy.
And I tell you what, I married a strong lady, and I would not have been able to live this long if she weren't a good thing for me, a very, very special good thing for me.
Yeah, well, it's funny because there's always the joke about like boys need to get away from their parents and strike out on their own, and then
they marry somebody like
they marry their mother. Basically, that's the truth.
Yeah,
and it happens a lot. Girls marry their dads, and personality types, and it's so funny, but it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining me today. Hope you got something out of that. I've mentioned before, I always relish the opportunity to kind of sit down and connect with my parents, and sometimes I realized that both my parents didn't have that opportunity with theirs, right? So I realized what a value that is and what a privilege it is for me to like actually be able to connect in this way. So I really enjoy that. So getting to know my parents, not just as my parents, but as other humans, right? That's cool. So thanks for being there along the way. And until next time, I hope you get a chance to get outside and wake up beneath the stars.
Oh, it's only in your head. Oh, it's only in your head.
Campfire Wisdom is brought to you from the hills of Rancho Cucamonga. We'd like to thank the men and women that protect our national parks and forests. You make this journey possible. Theme music by Sean Cromwell.